You're listening to The Real Short Box, a comic book podcast made for geeks by geeks.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to The Real Short Box. Sitting right in front of me, of course, is...
the Doctor, Kevin.
And then off to my right is...
Professor Donald.
Professor Donald, let me ask you a question.
Academics here.
Two things. One, are you tenured? And two, how are those oyster crackers?
I am tenured, and those oyster crackers are delightful.
Now, I'm trying to see, since there's a very subtle flavor to them, is that subtle flavor just mean there's no flavor?
It's sand, I believe.
Sand?
Yes, sand.
Oh my God.
That's how they make oyster crackers, I thought. Sand.
Are you sure about that?
Yes, pretty sure.
It's like something SpongeBob SquarePants would like.
Sand and demon farts,
Would
I
make.
think. Perhaps
Or
it's
eat even.
how they puff them open. Demon farts.
All right, so here we go, folks. Now, the thing that's interesting is, and of course, we are going to speculate on this podcast about the new hit movie Shazam. Now, what you must ultimately do is believe absolutely everything that we speculate about, because after all, we are in the speculating business, folks. And I must ask right off the bat, okay, we all know the history of Shazam, right? We know that it was a comic that started in the late 30s, was very popular in the 40s, actually very deceivingly in the 40s was more popular than Superman. It was a fun little fact that I read. And I just have to know, just with your thoughts here, right out of the gate, when you first saw this trailer, I just want first reactions. Kevin, you go first, please.
I felt it was a lighter PG-13 version of a Deadpool, minus cursing and whatnot. It looked like a lot of fun. It's going for the humor side of the heroic character. And of course, for any young boy who imagines and dreams of himself as a big muscular character, if you just say a magic word, it's awesome.
Donald, your first impressions.
I was over the moon, to be honest. I'm very excited about this movie. I feel that this is the light and lively Superman film I've been waiting forever and have not gotten.
Waited 40 years for this moment, didn't you?
So I'm extremely happy that this is coming out. Some early reviews are coming in. It's getting positive reviews.
93% on Rotten Tomatoes so far.
People seem to be liking it, so I'm pretty stoked about that. Definitely.
Okay, well, the first topic that I'm going to get into, my very first prediction I'd like to make. For those of you out there that love origin stories, I suspect this is going to have a lot of heavy origin story on top of the fact, as we in the writing business call, the promise of the premise.
Yes.
You're going to see a lot of Shazam having a lot of fun with this. I actually would venture to say that this movie will be imbalanced in the way that you will not see a heavy dose of the villain until about 60, maybe 70% of the way through the movie.
I agree with you. I feel somewhere in the second act we'll be introduced to Mark Strong's Dr. Sivana character. Because you're right, it's an origin story. You have to build it up. We'll see Billy, obviously being a foster kid, getting with his new family, getting used to them. And you'll probably have a scene like for the New 52 comic where, the one in the wheelchair is probably being picked on and he defends them.
Oh, yeah. I mean, well, we saw that already in the trailer.
But we'll see an extended version of it.
Right, yeah. We're definitely going to see an extended version of that. And we're going to see more of his protective nature.
Yes.
Which is why he gets chosen to be a superhero.
And I think we'll learn to appreciate the family that takes him in. You're going to see like a bond being formed.
This is the Captain Marvel movie.
The original Captain Marvel.
We have all wanted.
Yes, the original Captain Marvel. This is.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know what? I make it a habit not to curse on this podcast, but I'm going to right now.
Okay, here
this
we go.
is a note to the fucking dork that I inevitably believe that I will be running into at some point into this movie, who's going to be sitting behind me going, oh, I don't know if these origin stories are 100% accurate. Listen to me, kid, all right? The book and the movie are never to be the same. It's not meant to be. But from what I see right now, I am very excited how they're going to tackle this. There's a lot of do you guys like the movie Big?
Of course.
Love it.
I just suspect I'm going to see a lot of that kind of,
references.
Thing going on here, because let's face it, this is a teenager in an adult's body. Now, I used to work on the show Chuck a little bit here and there. And, Zachary is an interesting guy. I met him before he hit the airwaves. I met him as he was on the airwaves. I didn't recognize him, honestly, in this, like, even facially. I thought for a second it was maybe that Rami Malek guy or whatever. Like, I really didn't even recognize this guy. But man alive, I mean, this is a good choice here. And DC, from what I've been reading, and this may change obviously even sooner than normal. I've been reading they really want to focus on developing a movie per year. Maybe possibly throw in a second one, but we saw
wise decision.
Of course, with Aquaman, and then of course before that, Wonder Woman. They were very patiently moving along. Justice League, of course, threw them off. But I think this is a very offbeat character in the sense that comic readers know Shazam quite well. But in pop culture, I don't know if he's quite making that movement. So this could be one of those sneaky hits like an Ant-Man, which, I think Ant-Man, honestly, that movie had no business being that good.
Or even a Deadpool.
Yeah, but I think there's even more story to work with here, like even from Ant-Man. So I'm expecting some interesting things here from Shazam.
Oh, yeah. You've got tons of stories to mine and tons of different characters, tons of different villains. One of the villains we're definitely going to be seeing
at some point
is
our boy Jared's favorite guy, Black Adam.
Yeah, at some point we're going to see a Black Adam.
Apparently played by Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson himself. Right?
Yep, in the 70% into the movie, villain that we're going to be seeing is Dr. What's his last name? Dr. Silva?
Savannah?
Savannah, yeah.
Played by the great Mark Strong, a wonderful actor who's been in I believe 3 comic book movie adaptations.
Yeah, he was Sinestro in Green Lantern, and then he was in
The Kingsman,
which was originally called Secret Service, right?
Secret Service.
Yeah, he was in that too.
Now, if you paid attention to one of our previous podcasts, making the top of one of our DC lists was, of course, Black Adam, and it was Kevin's list. So, Kevin, why don't you give us a little backdrop as to who Black Adam actually is?
Well, Black Adam, known as Teth Adam, was many years before, had the power of Shazam before he was corrupted. He started out good, but then he went down a dark path. And he became Black Adam, and his abilities are, he has the stamina of Shu, superhuman stamina and invulnerability, the speed of Haru, superhuman speed and light, the strength of Aman, superhuman strength, the wisdom of Zehuti, genius level intellect, the power of Atan, full control and emission of magical lightning and thunder, and of course, the courage of Mehen, unlimited courage and proficient hand-to-hand combat, and last but not least, longevity.
You're going to have to maybe make 2 or 3 movies to get all these in, because there's a lot there that I don't truly understand. I mean, the strength of this person, the invulnerability of this person.
Well, it's just to match up the opposite of what Shazam, the good guy, Billy Batson, does. Just kind of match up, almost like, was it Bizarro to Superman, Venom to Spider-Man. You have like a more, you have like an equal
nemesis, an equal foe.
Equal foe.
Everybody always needs that, and he's the best one.
He's the best one.
And The Rock, of course, is a great choice for this because The Rock rarely makes a poor decision, especially when you're talking massive studio films.
Right.
Donald, what are your thoughts on, like, Dr. Savannah? I know that Shazam fans probably know who he is, but could you just give us a little backdrop of who he is, just for our audiences?
Sure. He was created back in, as you said, the book came out in the 30s. He was created in 1939. He came out in Whiz Comics number 2.
Wow.
So that was
second issue practically.
And Whiz Comics number 2, that's also where Captain Marvel, who's now Shazam, also debuted.
Mm-hmm. Yep. He was established at that point almost instantly as Captain Marvel's arch nemesis. So he's Black Adam before there was Black Adam. And basically, while you need some characters, Adam came along to match the strength, but you keep in mind that you're dealing with the mind of a 15-year-old child. So you're basically dealing with a young, prepubescent or, kid that isn't intellectually superior to most adults.
Right.
So you add the fact that you've got this doctor, and he's basically a mad scientist.
Lex Luthor type.
Right, yeah. You can imagine the lopsidedness that you would get when you have this mad scientist dude trying to pull one over on this 15-year-old man-child.
Mm-hmm. And it's kind of smart for storylines, because that way you have a true challenge.
Right, yeah. Yeah, and he was so popular, Savannah was, that they kept him through when DC acquired the rights to Fawcett. Basically, DC sued Fawcett into obscurity. They said, you can't do Shazam, or Captain Marvel at the time was what Shazam's, for those that don't know, Shazam's original name was Captain Marvel. You can't use Captain Marvel as a character because he's too much like Superman. And they actually won.
Surprisingly.
It's amazingly, yeah, they won.
One guy's power is like magical.
Right, and Fawcett couldn't do it then. They couldn't go any further with Captain Marvel. So they eventually had to give up the rights or, give up the character, and DC then was able to purchase that.
Oh, sorry to interrupt, everyone. Just wanted to mention real quick about a shop in Canoga Park, California called Spiro's Heroes. Elliot, the proprietor of the store, has over 300,000 books in what's called the Temple of Comics. That's Spiro Heroes in Canoga Park, spirosheroes.com.
I want to say that the rebirth of Shazam was probably in the early to mid 60s is when you saw that. And ironically, as I find absolutely hysterical, Shazam takes place in Fawcett City.
That's true.
It was 72.
72.
Thank you.
72. 1972 when DC got the rights to that.
See, we fact check here, folks. We don't want to give you false information.
Right. Yeah.
So,
Yep.
basically, the kid sitting behind me, who we'll just call Dweezil for the for lack of a better term, he is going to be thrilled at these origins, being that Wiz Comics 2 debuted both this hero and this villain. So, I think that they are definitely building this from the base. Obviously, we never know how many sequels are in the future.
Right. They just want to give us a good origin story, a fun story. And I think this one's going to surprise a lot of people as being more family-friendly than you would think. The trailer gives you that element. I think it's going to have a serious tone in there, too.
Of course.
There's definitely going to be a darkness to it. When you're dealing with a mad scientist and that kind of stuff, you're going to always deal with a little bit of dark. Savannah's his abilities, he has a genius level intellect, as we were saying. He's a mad scientist. Brilliant inventor, again, he's a mad scientist. A skilled manipulator and strategist, goes without saying. He has the ability to see hidden magic with his left eye. That's a cool one. That's a cool power.
But how would you define hidden magic?
Basically, he could find, so platform 34 or something, 3/4 or whatever, the Harry Potter platform that he had to go through in order to get to the train to take him to Hogwarts.
Hogwarts, yeah.
Right. He could see that.
Okay.
He could see the entrance, and he could be like, just walk right through it. He'd be like, oh, I know where it's at. So, he could do that. He also has intangibility, and he can walk through walls. So, the intangibility, of course, gives him that power to walk through walls, but he can walk through walls. He can see the platform, the magical platform, and if he can't find it, he can walk through a wall anyway. He's got some powers, he's got some abilities that he's gathered over the years through his mad scientific experiments.
Dr. Doom would appreciate his ability.
He's a science-based villain fighting a magic-based hero.
Kind of like Dr. Doom in a way. He can do the same thing.
Well,
in a way.
Dr. Doom's more magic.
Science.
Mixed with some science. He's a little bit more blended in, I would say.
But like Dr. Doom in that trailer, I did see lightning come out of his hands.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. So you'll see some manipulation and stuff and things that they've worked on in the story that probably you might not see in the comics or something like that. So those guys sitting behind you take a back seat. That's where they belong, and it's all going to be fine. But that's basically just Dr. Savannah in a nutshell.
Yeah, so, obviously, we want to see this film make sure to feature all of these special abilities, as they are quite unique. And also, too, when you're talking about the DC film universe, especially the recent DC film universe, I think they could benefit tremendously from being offbeat with this movie. On the other hand, though, you cannot rule out it might become disastrous for them, because I like the marketing is very clear to me, but I'm only one person in this whole situation. Kevin, what do you think would make this movie struggle?
What would make it struggle?
Yeah.
Well, something external. The fact that there's Captain Marvel that came out a couple weeks earlier, or 3 weeks earlier. Some people might feel they're a little superheroed out at the moment. They might feel, even though there's now no similarities, they might feel, I just saw something, superheroes wise 3 weeks ago. I'm going to save my money for Endgame, depending on what your budget is. Mm-hmm. So that could be a small issue. Plus, you had a horror movie, called Us that came out or is coming out, and there's a lot of competition for people's dollars these days.
But with Captain Marvel, though, you're going from Captain Marvel to Shazam to Endgame. You're dropping a DC bomb in the middle of these Marvel things. I mean, I don't want to say that affects anything, because I feel at this point, real comic fans like DC and Marvel equally at this point.
Well, yeah, that's a tough one. I think the one that's going to struggle the most is Hellboy.
Yeah, I was about to mention them.
Yeah, Hellboy's going to struggle the most. I mean, it has a following because people know it through the movies, but I still don't think they know it as well. And when people hear DC, they think more, that there's going to be a budget behind it. Whereas Hellboy, it's a Lionsgate film now. It's no longer Universal, and before that it was Sony. Mm-hmm. So now it's on its third studio to get produced.
There's no Ron Perlman involved.
No Ron Perlman, characters, actors that we don't know being proven to be these characters. So it might be a little bit of a harder sell.
And it's also been about 11 years since the last movie.
Right. So there's a younger audience there that doesn't really know anything about it.
And I try not to be a downer on this show as much as I can, but Hellboy's just, at least what I've seen footage-wise, it is not exciting me.
Yeah, it wasn't exciting me either, to be honest. The trailer did not sell me on anything. The Shazam one instantly sold me on fun and action. That's exactly what it sold me on, and that's exactly what I want. I want to sit down in there, I want to have a fun time, and I want it to be just a popcorn action flick, something I can, not necessarily turn my brain off, but just enjoy the ride. Like, I mean, Aquaman wasn't perfect, let's be honest, but it was fun. It was a marked improvement from what we've had in the past.
That's all that matters.
Yeah.
Did you have a good time?
Well, also, too, with Shazam, you're seeing something that is intentionally, at least if the movie turns out the way the trailer is being marketed, you're looking at something that is going to be extremely fun right before you see Endgame, which, let's be real, Endgame is not going to be fun in the same way Shazam is going to be fun. You're going to be attempting to build something that's extremely epic. Superhero film or not, there's going to be high drama in Endgame. A lot of emotions. Mm-hmm. They're going to try to manipulate that audience every way they can. And those superpowers will be treated very seriously. Mm-hmm. I think Shazam is kind of like, I don't want to say mocking, because it's a wrong word, but they are putting a lighter feel to it. With superhero films, so many of them are so serious anymore. And we want to take them seriously. I like Wonder Woman had a couple of light moments, but generally speaking, Wonder Woman was very dark and demanded you take it seriously. And I want a film that is not demanding that of me.
Right. And Shazam, no pun intended, is lightening things up.
Yeah, there we go. Now, one other thing that I did notice, and I believe that they showed the action figures too, the Shazam line, and I think they're already out in like Target and stuff like that you can get them. But they are going to have Captain Marvel Jr.
You don't say.
And they are going to have Mary Marvel, I believe. So
the Marvel family's going to be introduced.
There's going to be more than that. Yeah, we're going to get a full orphanage function, like, what is it? When they're foster children house full of superheroes is basically what we're going to see.
Nice.
Yeah, we're definitely going to see that in this movie. I'm excited about it, but I'm also hesitant about it because there's already so much going on that you're going to be adding all these other characters into it, making it more of a family unit. I think for this one, we should just see primarily him as like the big main hero.
Right, it's only fair. You don't want to overload the movie.
Right, and the little kid, what was it, Freddy? Freddy, I think his name is?
Yeah, like Freddy.
Yeah, Billy Batson's friend, the one of the disadvantage there, I guess. the cripple kid, let's say it that way. Oh, that sounds terrible to say. But you know what I mean. The kid that I think his name is Freddy. He plays a big part in this as well.
And of course, a big part being played by the wizard Shazam himself, who bestows the powers upon him.
Played by which actor?
Jimon Hansu.
There we go.
I like Jimon Hansu, especially in The Black Diamond.
And
Blood Diamond, excuse me.
Yes, and I know. Well, the Black Diamond's important. If you get to watch a little series called The Blue Beetle, Ted Kord Returns,
Or the Klotman Diamond in Garfield and Friends.
or that as well. You had mentioned earlier Big. Now there is a scene in the trailer where it takes place in a toy store, so that made me kind of chuckle because I thought, what if they did kind of throw a little aside to that? You know, like he throws a big giant piano thing or something at him.
Yeah, it's funny.
Possible.
My lady brought this up yesterday. She was talking about it looks like, she's like, the thing that will make me upset is they're not going to dance on the keyboard. And I'm like, hold on now.
Like Big.
Now, and this is something I did growing up, and you guys are of an age similar to mine that you would do this too. Now, naturally, we've had films, especially superhero films, where studios are taking more and more control over everything, and certain elements don't matter quite as much. But I want to take a minute to analyze David F. Sandberg, who is the director of the movie. Now, David F. Sandberg's done a lot of smaller movies, and by smaller, I mean short films, generally speaking. But two relevant films here are Lights Out and Annabelle Creation, which would suggest to me the man has experience dealing with supernatural type effects. So I wonder if we're going to see a degree of that in this film.
I think we're guaranteed to see it.
Yeah, but it looks like he can handle it well, which, like I said, I mean, studios generally have a specific reason, namely why they're hiring directors, which would make me suspect we're going to see a lot of these kind of supernatural elements, maybe a lot of clouds of whatever, and like things like that, and storms maybe, and God knows what else was it, or the Mistress of the Elements. Yeah.
Storm, Mistress of the Elements.
So I'm curious to see, because I think that we're getting, the more that I see films, Bumblebee was one that jumped out to me. There are a lot of new directors out there, and they are going to start staking their names on big projects. And I always wonder, can David F. Sandberg hit a home run here and then become maybe a more sought-out director to do bigger projects?
That's true. I think it's a very good chance. Maybe he can get on that Russo brothers level.
And it kind of helps him, I think, not to be that well known. No disrespect to him, but I mean, he's
less pressure.
Yeah, well, and you can just kind of come out of nowhere. I remember Neil Blomkamp did this in District 9, which, Neil Blomkamp I admire so much from a visual level. And he was able to take on other projects. Some I liked, some I didn't, but I appreciated the technique behind it. So maybe this is one of those things that David F. Sandberg, and you know what? Marvel has their crop of directors that they go to, and maybe now it's time for DC to do something post Zack Snyder.
Yeah, it's funny that I don't really know anything about Captain Marvel's director from the Marvel.
Well,
movie,
they're two of them.
Marvel.
They're two of them, like a boyfriend girlfriend.
Really,
like
I don't know
couple.
anything. I haven't heard anything about
it. I
it.
never heard him before. It's like Anna Bolden, and I can't remember the other, like the boyfriend's name. Or the
It seems like they've really kept that kind of like. Yeah, I mean, you knew who the Black Panther director was.
You knew Ryan Coogler from Creed, of course.
Right. You knew who the director was for all these Avengers films, basically. You knew every single director that was involved in all of them. You knew the Cap 2 directors. You knew the Cap 3 directors. It's just, the James Gunn directing.
Yes.
You just know the names, and this is funny that we don't...
Matt Reeves, it kind of reminds me of Matt Reeves. He's doing the new Batman movie, which will be out in a couple of years. And we remember him from Cloverfield, which I thought was a really cool movie.
I think he really extended his, Cloverfield to me was a really big project that had very limited resources, in my opinion. I actually worked on Cloverfield, and I get to see it firsthand. Like, it's a little more limited than you think. And what he was...
Silly question. Was Cloverfield named after that street in Santa Monica?
Well, it was actually a working title that ended up being the title. But yes, their production offices were actually on Cloverfield Boulevard.
I figured. I knew it.
No, but what's kind of intriguing to me is Cloverfield really is a small movie that he extended into a rather large movie.
Yes,
I get a lot of credit for people like that.
A lot of props.
That's a kind of dream and innovation. We football fans, I always used to give high praise to Mike Shanahan because I said, this is a football coach who looks for football players. He doesn't need to draft them in the first round. He can go grab them off the practice squad. He can get the undrafted guy. He likes actively looking for people. And I'm telling you, this is a no-brainer. But if DC starts doing this and having a crop of directors, once again, as I say, in the post-Snyder era, and I'm not saying that Snyder's not going to have influence on certain films, but I don't think he will have the same influence on these films, whether he's on them or not, because clearly he has established a DC universe, like it or not, with Man of Steel and Batman, Superman, and, all those things. There's a look that has been established that I think it is time to redo the look. And you started to see that with Aquaman.
Yes.
Yeah. I feel like we're gonna see a lot of fun. We're gonna see some seriousness that's gonna come into the play. What do you think as far as what's the main goal of this villain? What do you think the main goal is? Do you think it's to acquire the magical powers of Shazam?
That would make sense. Why not? Why not go to the core of what makes that character work in order to add it to your skill set so you can take over the world?
And do you think that lightning that he has in the trailer that he's able to use is because he was successful?
I believe so.
In stealing the powers of Shazam?
I believe so. It would make perfect sense.
Yeah.
And therefore, Billy Batson's first true great test is to defeat Dr. Sivana and re-obtain.
Yep. I agree.
Well, power always begets power. I mean, generally speaking, supervillains, even though you can have sympathy with them, there are certain things that don't change. They're powerful and they want additional power. And that's just how this goes. I mean, as much as we wanted to sympathize with Thanos, what did he ultimately want? All of the Infinity Stones so he could destroy half the world. So, I mean, this is pretty common to me, and I think you're going to be absolutely correct with that prediction, with absolutely no doubt in my mind that's going to be the case. And I'm curious, too, about this little kid. He looks very well cast.
Yeah, absolutely.
Looks very comfortable in this role.
And the kid that's plays the secondary, that plays Freddy, I think is his name. He was in another. Wasn't he in? Was he in It? Was that the same kid from It?
Looks like him.
Yeah, I think it is the same kid.
Well, the thing that you have to think when you're...
it's funny. It is another Warner Brothers movie. Would make sense.
Yeah.
And when you're dealing with child actors, too, and we can't confirm if this is him or not, when you're dealing with child actors, it's easy to forget how quickly they grow. Mm-hmm. So, look, if you look like a dork in It, you might look just a little more mature, once you have 2 years under. And, like I said, I think that's definitely a strong possibility. On top of the fact that, that kid element, when you throw it into a superhero movie, it just really enhances it, because when you're working with a kid, there's extra effort that's being put in there to make the product more authentic.
And also, you have to find the right kid, like you said, because not every kid could act, shall we say.
Right. Oh, yeah. Oh, God. That's evident. Watch Mac and Me sometime if you ever get a chance.
Or, no offense to the young man, well, actually, he's not a young man anymore, Jake Lloyd from Episode 1, The Phantom Menace.
But Jake Lloyd was kind of good in Jingle All the Way.
He was in there?
He was in there, yeah.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Turbo Man! Well, it's interesting, too. The more I think about this, I know this is sacrilege to say, possibly. Super 8 is not a good movie. But because of those kids, it kind of is. That's the way I kind of look at it.
Yeah, those kids were great. It was a solid film, I thought. And you're right, because of the kids. They really made the film.
Super 8 may have influenced the show Stranger Things later on?
It's quite possible,
There's no question. You're coming from that same kind of decade era. There's no question about it, in my view.
Yeah. Yeah, it was a solid... I thought it was a solid film. I enjoyed it very much. And yeah, there's like an entity, an alien creature or whatever. Oh, yeah, definitely. Yeah. The more you think about it, the more it makes this proper sense. Let's kind of look at some basic things, some core elements of the movie. Okay? So we have the villain, we have the hero, we have what the villain wants, we have the origin of the hero. Where do you think, if Black Adam makes an appearance, where do you think that is? Do you think that's in the
post-credit scenes?
Yes,
possibly.
That's what I'm thinking.
That makes sense.
Yeah,
that's
because you want to get people to,
because there is word already that there is at least one post-credit scene. So you're going to see at least something after the credits or during the credits. So anybody that's listening to this, definitely stick around, because that is something that's going to happen 100%.
Hey, they're going to copy the MCU on that. So yes, why not have a post-credit scene?
Why not? Come on.
You're used to it now?
Yeah. I think every movie should have a post-credit scene.
No, and let's talk about...
Really?
Yes. Make me sit through those credits.
Even like rom-com.
All those people did really hard work, and they deserve to be viewed. And I think that it's smart to do post-credit scenes, because people have to at least sit through that. And then they do look at names. You hear people in the audience say the names out loud. They might be funny ones. Oh, that guy's name's fuck you or something. But but at least they're looking at it. You know, they're watching.
So even like historical films should have like a post-credits.
Absolutely, and they should do stuff like they did in the Naked Gun films. I think it was that they used to do, where they would put little funny things in there during the credits that you had to look for to make you really invested in it. That I loved. They should do that with historical. Why not? Yeah.
Okay.
Like the assassination of Abe Lincoln. Why not put something in there? Right. You know, like Abe Lincoln wore dirty underpants.
What's the one that Christopher Nolan did a while back? Not a while back, but just very recently. Dunkirk. Just have a post-credit scene.
Yes, post-credit scene of Dunkirk.
So like basically after they help get all the British soldiers.
Did you see that movie, by the way, Dunkirk?
No, I haven't.
I have.
I saw it in IMAX.
Did you? Oh, I imagine that was great.
Oh, absolutely.
I watched it on a plane coming back from China. And all those planes crashing in Dunkirk. Maybe it wasn't,
probably wasn't
ironically,
the
best choice.
Yes.
So I was a little nervous, specifically because I didn't know the airline I was on.
Yeah, that's true.
As you should be.
Yeah.
As you should be. Now, there's something I think that we can bring up here, too, as I see Natalia Safran playing Mrs. Savannah. Now, I don't know if this is going to be specifically the wife of, the doctor, but there is a love story with a daughter of Savannah, and that's a love story with her and Shazam. So, naturally, there's a lot of females in this cast. Number 3, at least on the IMDb list, her name is Michelle Borth, and they will not reveal who she's playing, which I find interesting. Megan Good will be playing an adult version of Darla Dudley, who could potentially be, I forgive me, I'm not a Shazam expert, but what I suspect is there could be a Darla Dudley who's a younger one that becomes, the older person.
Yep.
And then Marta Milans as Rosa Vasquez. I mean, she just looks like someone who's going to have a significant role in this. This is just, like I said, this is all prediction. Granted, all our predictions are 100% verified and correct, and will 200% change your life. But the thing is like, they're not really teasing this. And if you're not teasing this, and I know it has to be there, this is inevitably in the screenwriter when you're talking about superhero films. I'm just curious how much of an impact these female characters will be having.
They will have some kind of impact.
Oh yeah, definitely. There'll be some impact from those characters. Mary Marvel, especially if she makes an appearance, she has a big impact in the history of the Captain Marvel universe. So there'll definitely be some impact there for sure.
Mary Marvel's definitely in the movie.
Yeah, well, there we go.
It's apparently played by Grace Fulton.
Bolton, one of the Boltons?
No, Grace
from Game
Fulton.
of Thrones?
Fulton.
Like next to Coldwater Canyon Avenue, Fulton.
Oh, Fulton. Oh, Fulton Avenue.
Sorry. Like Fulton Reed from the Mighty Ducks.
The Flying V?
The mean kid. He was the big bully. With the soup.
I like the heavy set kid that was hungry all the time.
Goldberg.
Yes, thank you.
Man, another podcast we can talk about how that man has went a different direction.
Yes, we certainly can. But I think with this one, I think we've done pretty good as far as like some predictions and stuff. Just we're making it a quick one because the movie's not going to be out. And I mean, it's out for some people already, and it's going to be out really, really soon. So we just want to throw this up there and see what you all think. What are your predictions if you haven't seen it? And if you have seen it, did you like it? What did you think of the movie? Please let us know. Let us know in the comments on YouTube. You can hit us up on our Facebook page.
iTunes.
Well, I don't think you can comment on that. But
you could give a little comment. I thought you could.
Can you?
I thought you could.
I don't know.
Oh, man.
Oh, good Lord. I don't know this. It's advanced. Twitter. You can tweet us. If it's in the past, you can twat us, I think.
Whoa.
Twaddle.
Oh, my goodness.
Oh, language.
And from the immediate responses we're getting on how our podcast is doing, who am I kidding? We haven't got any immediate responses. I'm lying. So you need to comment.
Yes, please comment. Comment. Make a comment.
And also be humble. Be kind. Be kind.
Yeah, they just comment. You're an asshole. That guy sounds like a piece of shit.
Subscribe. Subscribe with love in your hearts.
See, that's an act of desperation. This is a privilege for these folks to be listening to us.
Wait.
Right
I remember that one guy that was talking about commented on the Aquaman podcast. He was not too happy with me. I don't remember who that guy was, but I hope he's listening to this one. Because I read it, buddy.
Is that a cut?
No, that's not a cut.
He's telling the truth.
I'm telling the truth. So with that, my name is Donald.
My name is Kevin.
And I, of course, am Darren.
And you were listening to The Real Short Box. Thank you for listening. Seek us out, and we'll see you
at the comic shop.
This has been The Real Short Box. We'll see you at the comic shop. Thanks for listening.